He was born into wealth, legacy, and privilege. At 14, he made history, flying both a helicopter and a fixed-wing plane solo on the same day. The heir to an aviation dynasty, Dellen Millard should have been destined for greatness, but instead, he chose destruction. Alongside his loyal shadow Mark Smich, he created a twisted path of lies, theft, and violence, a path that led to 3 murders and some of the darkest crimes in Canadian history. Help grow the channel by liking the video and sharing with someone who loves true crime stories. Also, join us in the comments to discuss the case, and don't forget to subscribe or follow the page for more. It would help us out a lot. Now on to the story. Dellen Daniel Millard was born on August 30th, 1985, in Toronto, Ontario. His father, Wayne, was a pilot who worked at Air Canada before taking over Millard Air, a company founded by Dellen's grandfather, Carl. His mother, Madeline, had once been a flight attendant. Young Dellen seemed destined for aviation greatness. At just 14 years old, he set a world record, becoming the youngest person to fly both a plane and a helicopter solo on the very same day. But privilege doesn't always lead to purpose. As he grew, so did his wealth. By his late 20s, Millard owned multiple properties: a luxury home in Etobicoke worth over $1 million, a $2 million rental property, a sprawling farm in Heir, and condos scattered around Toronto. On the surface, he was a man who had it all. But behind the facade of wealth, cracks were forming. His parents' marriage ended in divorce. His relationship with his father soured. And Dellen himself? He grew restless, bored, and dangerous. In 2006, Millard met Mark Smich. Smich was a small-time drug dealer and a wannabe rapper from Oakville. Friends described their friendship as one-sided. Mark worshipped Dell, but Dell hated him. Yet somehow they became inseparable. By 2012, Smich and his girlfriend were living in the basement of the Millard family home. At night, Dellen would take Smich on what he called missions. These weren't missions for money. They weren't about survival. They were about thrills. Together they stole construction equipment, vehicles, even trees. It was a game for them, a way for Millard to feed his appetite for risk and for Smich to impress the man he idolized. But thrill-seeking escalates, and soon their missions would leave behind bodies. Laura Babcock was 23 years old in 2012, a bright and adventurous young woman who had struggles. She battled mental health challenges and financial instability. She couch-surfed, worked sporadic jobs, including at an escort agency, and leaned on friends for support. Years earlier, she had briefly dated Dellen Millard. They remained connected, sometimes as friends, sometimes as lovers. But this connection would place her in the middle of Dellen's volatile relationship with his new girlfriend, Christina Nudga. In February 2012, Laura and Christina exchanged heated texts. Christina: "Happy birthday. A year ago today was the first time I slept with Dellen." Laura: "That's fine. I slept with him a couple weeks ago." The feud escalated. Christina called Laura a crazy psycho bitch. Laura confided in friends that Dellen was pulling away. In April 2012, he sent her a cold message: "You are harmful to me. Don't try to contact me again." But behind the scenes, he texted Christina something chilling. "First, I'm going to hurt her. Then I'll make her leave. I will remove her from our lives." By June 2012, Laura was spiraling. She was working as an escort, searching for stability, trying to find a place of her own. On June 26th, she was last seen alive in Toronto. That night, her phone activity stopped. And Dellen Millard? He had just purchased a massive industrial incinerator. Millard called it the Eliminator, a $15,000 commercial animal incinerator delivered to his farm just days after Laura vanished. On July 3, 2012, phone records placed both Millard and Laura together, along with Smich nearby. By July 4th, Laura's phone went dead forever. That same day, Dellen's computer connected to her iPad. He renamed it Mark's iPad. Later, photos on Millard's phone would show a large blue tarp at his farm. Days later, photos showed large flames billowing from inside the eliminator. As if to brag, Smich turned Laura's death into a rap verse. The bitch started off all skin and bone, now the bitch lay on some ashy stone. Her body was never found. In November 2012, tragedy struck again. Dellen's father, Wayne, was found dead in his bed. He was shot through the eye. Police ruled it a suicide, but suspicions lingered. Years later, evidence revealed the truth. The gun was purchased by Dellen. His phone was at the house at the time of the shooting. The motive? Money, power, independence. The heir had killed his own father. On May 6, 2013, 32-year-old Tim Bosma listed his Dodge Ram truck for sale online. That night, 2 men arrived to test drive it. Tim's wife, Charlene, thought it was odd to be doing a test drive so late at night, but Tim agreed to go through with it. But after several hours and no word from Tim, Charlene became frantic. By the next day, a missing person report was put out for Tim. Charlene's desperate plea made national headlines. "We just want him home. Please bring him back." On May 9th, police found Bosma's cell phone in an industrial area near Brantford. They traced the last call back to a burner phone. During the investigation, another man came forward telling a similar story about 2 men wanting to test drive his truck. The 2 men showed up late, so the test drive never happened. The owner of the first truck described the suspect as one of them carrying a backpack and having the word ambition tattooed on his wrist. This information was crucial. Police from neighboring Peel and Toronto informed Hamilton police of a wealthy young man in the area who is known to carry a backpack and has the word ambition tattooed on his wrist. That man, Dellen Millard. On May 11th, Dellen Millard was arrested. On May 12th, Bosma's truck was found inside a trailer in the driveway of Millard's mother's home. On May 14th, a search of Dellen's farm would prove fruitful yet devastating. A horrifying discovery lay waiting. Inside the eliminator, a custom-made incinerator on the property, were the charred remains of Tim Bosma. After several days of surveillance, Mark Smich was arrested on May 22nd at the home of his mother. The heir's thrill-seeking had finally escalated to full-blown murder. Police reopened the Babcock and Wayne Millard cases. The evidence piled up: phone records, Smich's rap lyrics, Millard's letters to Christina Nudga, begging her to destroy incriminating notes, witnesses recalling Smich bragging about killing a girl and burning her body. In 2016, both men stood trial for Tim Bosma's murder. During the trial, Smich claimed that he was in a separate car and not in Bosma's truck. He said he was following behind the two and that Millard was the one who shot Bosma. Millard, on the other hand, claimed that all 3 men were in the truck and that he was driving. Bosma was in the front passenger and Smich was in the back. At some point, Millard claimed that Smich pulled a gun in an attempt to steal the truck. A struggle occurred and Bosma was accidentally shot. The Crown argued both were guilty, no matter who pulled the trigger. Each man pointed the finger at the other, but the jury found them both guilty of first-degree murder. In 2017, they were convicted again, this time for Laura Babcock's murder. In 2018, Dellen alone was convicted for murdering his father. 3 life sentences. Originally, Millard faced 75 years without parole. Smich, 50 years. Essentially, life without release. But in 2022, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled consecutive parole ineligibility unconstitutional. Their sentences were reduced. Both now have a chance at parole in 2043. If they live long enough, they could walk free again. Dellen Millard was born to wealth and privilege. He was an heir who could have soared, but chose to kill. Mark Smich was a shadow and a follower. He was a man willing to do anything to prove himself. 3 lives were destroyed, families left shattered, and 2 killers who, one day, may walk free. So, what do you think? Should life in prison ever mean anything less than life? The heir to an empire, the wannabe rapper who followed him, and the innocent lives that were destroyed in their wake. Dellen Millard and Mark Smich will sit behind bars for decades. But if they live long enough, the world may see them walk free again. What do you think? Should life sentences mean life behind bars? No matter what? Case closed, at least on paper. In your view, what did we miss? Comment below and make sure you like the video and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. Until next time, stay obsessed.